we set the alarm on
Mhm.
and woke up at 11:25 so that way we can see the pink moon, but we looked outside and you cannot see the moon at all because it was just covered by the
Oh,
clouds. It was all drizzling, but
it was so beautiful last night. We had like a few clouds, but it was so like I got off work and it was just like like, oh, you're so pretty.
aw, no, we could not see it here in Ontario.
So
So
so funny. I had an interview with this lady yesterday and she's really into like astrology and human design, and so she kind of read my chart yesterday and I was like, oh, it makes so much sense. So I've been like getting more into like learning about like the different things. It's fun.
what kind of different things?
So like apparently I'm a projector. So I've been watching like a lot of videos about it, and it says that we don't have like an energy source. So we as projectors get like depleted very like quickly. So even that's why like I hate a 9 to 5 job because I get so exhausted. And so yeah, with projectors, we kind of don't, because there's like manifestors and generators and I think one other thing. Um which kind of they have an energy source, we don't. And so and our biggest thing is that we have to wait for the invitation. So like we have to put ourselves out there but wait for someone to invite us to do something and everything, so like have intention and stuff, but we can't like force it, and we have to give ourselves a lot of breaks. Like we can't constantly just go all day long. Like we have to do a lot of self-care and like helping ourselves. And I'm like, wow, this is hitting, man. So I've been watching a lot of videos on them lately and learning about the human design and kind of, I mean, it's teaching you how to like navigate and use like how you were created for your power instead of like our biggest thing is bitterness. So like if we get bitter about something, like it's bad for us to be bitter. Like that's our weakness. I'm like, no, nope, I can, yep, yep. Feel like that's what I hold on to the most is when I'm like bitter about something.
Huh, interesting. Um, I'm trying to think if I get bitter and if I hold on to things.
You should do like a free one and just because it will just kind of give you like the free one will give you what you are and just like a little bit of it'll give you the chart, but then you have to pay if you want them to decipher it, but you can go and decipher it yourself, right? So, yeah, it was fun. She got to, teach me some things and that I didn't know. And yeah, because even like I want to say my rising sign is a Scorpio. And I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense because like with cancers, typically like we're very like hermits, right? We're really shy. We're not as vocal, but with Scorpios, like they're very kind of out there and demanding. And I'm like, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. So that's how people like perceive me is that Scorpio. Apparently, I'm like, oh,
Mm.
because yeah, I don't feel like people, because they also have that nurturing side and everything like that, but they're way more open to expressing themselves and expressing how they're feeling. Where Cancer is kind of like quiet themselves a little more and internalize it a lot. So
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I was like, okay, that's cool. I like learning about this stuff.
And I would imagine that a Taurus would be jump first, think later, head first.
You
And
should you should do it. You should go and find out your human design.
my
And
human.
then because then we work around that because then we can see our weaknesses and how to kind of maneuver that or how we're supposed to be like even for us, like if you are a projector, like we are guides to people. So the manifestors and the generators, like we're there to help them increase their energy and realize that potential they have inside of themselves to like manifest and to generate like energy around us and stuff, and helping them like tap into that. So we're like projecting what people should do. And we apparently, like, projectors like see through the systems, right? So we see all these systems around us, and we see like the problems and the kinks and all of them, in political, religious, your work, everything. Like we see the problem that is, and we're trying to like project a different way of thinking and doing things and everything. Yeah. And so it was like funny because I just started like learning about this. And but apparently majority of people are either like manifestors or generators, because like the manifestors are the ones who are like have that vision and are making, like our political people, right? And then the generators are like the people that are producing, like our workers and everything. And for majority of time, like that's been great, and that's who mostly have been on this earth. But now projectors are coming because there's this shift that needs to happen, and like this way is not working anymore. So it's projecting a new kind of like future. I'm like,
To me, it almost sounds like intuitives and
yes, we are very intuitive. Yeah, and listen to that.
yeah, and then they are also, I would imagine, would be great problem solvers because they intuitively would know what that problem is needing.
Yes,
Solution for the
but
problem.
our biggest thing is that we need an invitation to share how to like fix things. So if someone does not invite us to like, oh, hey, I have this problem, do you have a solution? Then we can give that advice. But if someone's not asking for that energy, then we're not supposed to give it. And that really actually helped me, because I feel that sometimes I am like that. Like if I feel that someone is not receptive, like I'm not even going to go there. But even in this, it's like I feel like I do have to kind of have that open conversation and like that openness to an idea, and them asking me instead of me just spewing everything, right?
I feel like that might be me as well because I haven't done the test. I don't know what would be me, but the reason why it sounds like it is me is because when I have a conversation with someone and they specify that there's a problem, I'm not that quick to jump to a solution. I want to hear more and hear if they actually are looking for a solution or they're just venting, because how do I explain it? Because there's almost like it's like a switch for me. So when I hear that they're looking for a solution, then I instantly have the solution in my hand and I can help with that solution. Yeah. Obviously, one-on-one coaching session, because that's not what I do as a coach, right? That's not how I've been trained to do coaching. That is more of a consultant.
Yeah.
And then also when I am teaching someone, because I've asked, I find myself, but more like it's like that intuitive flow of words, the wisdom that comes through. It almost like it shuts off, and the doors close, and I'm like, there's something there. And every time I would ask, okay, it feels like you're done being like that. Your cup, your pot is already full, and I can't add anything else to it. So therefore, nothing else is coming. I can't. There's no more thoughts.
Yeah.
Right? So it's always
so like, we're more supposed to do like a lot of work in a short period of time. That's like our thing. Like, and I give that to myself. I'm like, okay, for like I've mapped it out. So only like Thursdays and Fridays. So Thursdays are like my learning days. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to like I kind of tried splitting it up. So like, I'm trying to shoot for 6 hours, but we're going to do at least 4 hours a day. And again, I think I'll just like base it on like my energy level. Like if I am paying attention, am I actually receiving like what I'm trying to learn right now? And then Fridays are just like my days of creating. So, it's putting everything down on paper. It's starting to actually shoot videos and doing all of that. So it's like, okay, that's it. And then, so like, obviously Wednesdays I have set aside my unicorn talks because I love those. So I definitely want to be a part of this. But yeah, so like Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, like when I'm not going to my job. And again, for me, it's like I love going to that job. I love being with kids. They bring out my child side. They tap me into that creativity. And I love having that power source from them. It's like, thank you for bringing me back to remembering what I should be doing is taking care of myself and just playing and having fun and not taking life so seriously all of the time. So anyways, but that's, a lot of this, like connecting and opening up that invitation. Because obviously now that I've learned that I need that invitation, which is great. So I can use these Facebook and be like, hey, does anyone want to join my podcast? And whoever is, inviting me and being like, yeah, of course. Da, da, da. Cool, great. And that has worked so well so far. And I've like loved it. And I've loved every person that I keep interviewing and connecting with and growing, all and mentors, all of these people. Like I consider you a mentor, definitely. So yeah, I don't know. It's just and of course me, I like learning about these things. So, and I feel like for us projectors or intuitives, like we love because we know that there's something real about this. Again, like the moon. The moon controls the water. How do we not think that it doesn't control us? We are water. We are made of water. How do it's just like it's crazy to me. Like it doesn't make sense how it can control that, but not like we again think we're like better or that
We're
it doesn't affect.
we're made of the same stuff,
Ah,
like the same stardust.
mm-hmm.
We're all made out of the same thing, all living creatures. If we pay attention to nature, it has its own cycle, the 24-hour cycle, the seasonal cycles, the moon cycles, right? The months, the 12-month cycles, the week cycles. And like you said, it would be kind of naive of us to think that we are not part of that nature.
Yeah.
We are very, very much so.
Yeah.
And that is why I agree that it is very important to understand our human design. We are the only creatures on this planet that can take time and become something more than we were born to be. We're born to be a baby and a human, but we can become something more than just a human. We can become a doctor, right? We can become a healer. We can't really become a tree or a dog, but we can become one with nature, right? So we can become anything or anyone we want. And in order for us to become successful in that journey of growth towards what we want most, it's important to understand ourselves, right? Like for example, we don't all learn
I
the
totally
same
agree
way.
with that. I think not enough of us.
I think one of us froze for a second there.
Yana, you froze.
To me, it looks like you froze for a second. Internet. What would we do without it?
Right, I know.
But what I was saying is that, like, for example, we all learn a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important to understand how each and every one of us learns, right?
And I feel like not even just learn, but how we do things, right? So in business, all of us are trying to find like that person and, oh, you're going to make me successful. Well, everyone finds success differently. Even if, you laid out a whole plan for me to follow in your footsteps, it might not work for me. It might not be the way that I need to. So sometimes when I feel we have like conversations, oh, I did this wrong, so you need to do it this way. But what if that wrong was someone's right way of doing it, right? So when we're constantly seeking outside of ourselves, and like I feel like both me and you were constantly wanting knowledge and even more wisdom on how to build or how to do this, not realizing that we have that wisdom inside of us. We know it already intuitively. I feel sometimes we fear the outcome, or just have those fears that stop us from blooming and evolving and just being like nature, going through the seasons, going through the cycle, and just enjoying every single cycle that we have in life.
For me, it it mostly comes from a place of not feeling that I am enough, that I know enough, that I give enough, that I do enough, that I offer enough, which, and that is one of the reasons why I might find myself experiencing overwhelm and anxiety like I have been for the past 2 days. Because before we hopped on here, you were asking why I'm experiencing anxiety. And that's because I have this expectation of myself of always doing and doing and doing. And I have times when I forget that it is extremely important to just be and not do, and that I need days to not do anything because I need those days of rest. And I can't always, I can't pick and choose those days. I can't schedule those days because um, there's something beyond me
True.
controls it, and I'm not fully aware of it. And the way that I'm aware of it is just keeping track of my own cycles of that
Yeah.
energy and how it works. And I know we've talked about the menstrual period for women. For me, the first week I'm great, like after, like during the period, but the second week quite often is when I find myself
Mhm.
having 2 or 3 days where I really just I don't want to. I can't. I'm not in the mood. I'm too tired. I'm exhausted. Not right now. I will deal with it later. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. So this is where I've been finding myself and mentally kind of like trying to pressure myself to actually do something.
Yeah.
And then fairly quickly I realize and remember that if I push myself, it's only going to do more damage. Right. And I don't want to break myself. So I allow myself the time to just be and sit still. And I mean, quite literally sit here and watch the candle slowly burn out.
Hey, that's okay.
And then when
I
it's done burning out, I put it on the cup warmer that actually melts everything, and I
Oh,
sit
nice.
there and I watch it melt.
Hey, and I feel we take even those little things for granted, right? And it's teaching us to find that stillness and appreciate this moment and having that anchor, whatever it may be, and it can just go sit outside and stare at the sky, stare at the tree, stare at nature. It will teach you kind of how to be. Just like you said, it teaches you to be. Just be there, be in this moment with all of your senses, all of them. And I feel we have a hard time doing that. is embodying the moment completely, because our mind might be there, but then it's like, okay, but are your
For long.
are you huh?
The mind is not there for long. When we're being in the
Oh,
moment,
yeah.
it's not there for very long.
Yeah.
And that's where mindfulness practice comes in.
Mhm.
I know from my own experience and from conversations is that being in the moment and just being and not doing anything is one of the hardest things people can do. Some, the way they describe it can be summarized in one word: torture. They feel like it's torture. And just to think about how is it that we human beings, we used to just be. That's why we're called human beings, not human doings. And then at some point, we got reprogrammed to doing and doing and doing and doing. And then on top of it, you get a job, 9 to 5, where you gotta work, 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 work for a little
Mhm.
bit of money as a reward that you didn't even decide on how much you were gonna get paid. So how would you how would you respond to someone who had just told you that being in the moment and being and just sitting down and looking at trees or outside and not doing anything, to them that it feels like torture? How would you respond to that?
Ooh. Say, well, you know, when we are being, it brings us to those uncomfortable moments, right? And of course, right now it feels like torture because you have constantly been on the go for so long that you don't know how else to be. And but uncomfortableness is where change happens. And unless we can sit with it, observe it, understand it, can we move through it? So sit with that uncomfortableness or that w- tell me why is it unbearable for you to sit here? Is it because your mind is racing to all the things that you need to get done? Is it going back to the past, to all the traumas? Where is your mind wandering to? Because that is actually what is making you go crazy inside. It's not that you actually sitting and being, it's that you don't know how to sit and be. And it's going to take you to all these different places. And then you're really still not being there. You're going to all these other maybe bad places and it's making you feel that way. Yeah.
Sounds like practice, right?
Mhm.
Practicing questioning your thoughts and
Mhm.
monitoring your thoughts as to where they're going,
Mhm.
um, in the past or in the future. Because
Mhm.
if it was in the moment, you would not be experiencing that.
Exactly, yeah. And even that, it's like, okay, are you more uncomfortable because your parents at a young age made you go to the corner and sit there if you were in trouble? So you correlate that to being in trouble. There
Mhm.
are so many triggers that we don't even know we have, but by being able to meditate, to just sit with yourself and talk to yourself and figure out what is going on in there? What can I help you with today? Because again, we're constantly going to go through it. I constantly go through it. I know you probably go through it all the time, right? Like we all do. We're human. That's a part of being human, but it's practicing, like you said. Just keep practicing and you get better. It becomes a habit over time, just like all these habits that we automatically do. It's autopilot. And when you get to this point of practicing over and over and over again, then you're able to really get into being and being in the moment and being present and finding the joy within everything that we're doing.
Mhm. Another thing I also have heard many people say and ask me is not knowing how to talk to themselves,
Mm.
which,
Mhm.
I mean, the first time I was asked me, how do you talk to yourself? I didn't think that it was just me. I thought it was just me. I didn't know that it was pretty much everyone that
Mhm.
have a thought
Mhm.
in their mind, and they have, and it's almost like they ignore it, they avoid it, and they don't know how to talk to themselves because that thought is just a thought.
Mhm.
Where in reality, that thought is a conversation that your inner self is trying to have with you. And if it is ignored,
Mhm.
no matter how old this thought is,
Mhm.
it will not like it.
Mhm.
It won't like it. So
Mhm.
it can get worse. And it usually does. So I wanted to ask you,
Mhm.
how would you respond to someone where if they told you
Mhm.
that they don't know how to talk to themselves? And
Mhm.
I can't talk to myself. I'm crazy. Like crazy people do that.
Well, first of all, I would say get rid of your belief that you can't, because you can. You're just making the choice not to, because we're afraid of what that inner voice is going to tell us. And that fear will stop us and kind of re-transforming our thoughts to a loving place, right? Like, let me love and treat this like a child, right? Let me listen to you, let me hear you out. And it is hard for especially people to talk to themselves. And I say, transform it in another way. Journal, write down those thoughts that are in your head and start to see the patterns of those thoughts. And then we can go back to those thoughts and say, hey, where are these thoughts coming from? Are they true? Are they coming from somebody else telling me I should believe this? And then, because you can't just jump into something, especially when you're really uncomfortable and like, no, I'm never going to get there. Well, take baby steps. Take baby steps. Do one thing to help you. Start writing. Journaling is a key to self-help, man. It is an amazing tool. We should all be journaling. It is not just for little kids and their diaries. No, every human should have a journal and write down your experiences, write down what you're thinking that day, what you're grateful for. Make it what you want it to be. I can say how I started out journaling, but everyone's going to do use it differently. And then once you break through that and get comfortable with having that conversation on paper with yourself, then you can start to have that conversation verbally with yourself. The biggest thing that we're going to finally get to is looking ourselves in the mirror and talking to ourselves. That is the most powerful tool I have taught anyone to do, is to look yourself in the eyes. How many people can do it? Not a lot, not a lot. About, yeah, like I love doing it. It is like my daily thing when I'm brushing my teeth, when I'm combing my hair, anytime I'm in front of a mirror, I talk to myself. When I first started this, I had mirrors placed strategically all around my house. There was not anywhere you could walk in my house that you would not see yourself in the mirror. And I loved that because first of all, it made me love my own company, right? Oh, if I needed someone, hey, I'm right there. Oh, I'm there. I'm there. I'm there. And it was nice because I got to see myself and not just again see myself from my eyes, but now I could kind of start having these different perspectives and seeing me in different angles. And it opened my mind to really start living outside of myself and perceiving things in that way instead of um, being, I guess, I don't want to say the observer, but we are an observer. but being a different kind of an observer outside of myself. And it got me so in touch with myself by talking and speaking it out. And it's hard at first. It really is, because you have to get uncomfortable with yourself. It's not easy to look yourself in the eye and say, "Hey, Megan, I forgive you for everything that has happened. I'm so sorry that we got into this situation or that this happened," or it's uncomfortable. It's not nice, but we need that uncomfortableness to break through and do something different and to release it. I don't think we realize how powerful talking about something is. It releases its power on you. When you hold it inside, it's gripping onto everything that it can, and it's holding you hostage. But by even writing it, talking it out, you're giving it less and less power the more you talk about it. And that's why, even for me, I talk about all my traumas. I talk about those things that made me very uncomfortable, made me super uncomfortable. But guess what? They don't make me uncomfortable anymore. They don't get any reaction from me. They don't bring back any fear or any hate or any negative emotion anymore. I just let that moment be that moment in the past, and it's never going to happen again. I've learned from them. I've sat with them. I've held them. I've loved them, even the very horrible things that have happened. And I say, it's okay. This is what was my plan, or else I wouldn't be Megan. I wouldn't be here right now talking to you, Yana, and having this amazing experience and having this connection with you, right? So it's being grateful for being able to do this, but I did it by helping myself, by stopping myself from saying, "Nope, I can never do that. I can never do that. I can never do that." Stop saying it and do it, because you never know until you try. And that's the biggest thing, is trying. Try to help yourself, because no one else can help you but you.
I remember this quote that I said, I don't know where I got it from.
Mhm.
I think it was just me that said it. And it goes something like this: never say never. Because the moment you say never, that is exactly what's going to happen.
Mhm.
So when I say never, I say it knowing that this is exactly what's going to happen. And I say it in the positive way, the word never. And
Mhm.
what I hear you say is that growth is not comfortable. And there was this phrase that was replaying in my mind: growth is comfortable. No one said no one who actually grew in their lifetime. Right, so the people that say growth can be comfortable, and when you can grow through something and it will be okay. Yes, it will be okay, but and you won't feel discomfort and you'll feel comfortable. Then it's not growth. Then you're just playing it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's like a habit. If you're trying to change your habits,
Yeah.
it's going to feel uncomfortable until
Yeah.
it becomes your new habit, and
Yeah.
then you will feel comfortable. So comfort
Yeah.
lays on the and waits for you on the other side of discomfort once you embrace it and
Yeah.
work through it and grow through it, which does not happen on its own. Like,
Mhm.
there is always some kind of action that needs to be taken. Even if you're sitting there and doing nothing, as many would say, and just looking outside or watching that candle burn ever so slowly. And it's like, oh my God, it's been 2 hours and I've been staring at you. That's not doing nothing.
Yeah.
You laugh. Yes, that's what I did actually.
That's okay.
That's a lot, because what happens is there's a lot of thoughts that go through, and I've gotten quite good at talking to myself
Mhm.
in my head.
Mhm.
And I've learned how to do that. And I love mirror talk. One of the favorite things that I do in the mirror, and I don't really need to do very much through the mirror, is really just look at myself and tell myself, say to myself, I am lovable. Which the first time, like, I couldn't, I, um, it was like one of those funny things that I didn't think it was funny until I kind of replayed it in my head. I was acting like a child. So I have a really big mirror, a lot bigger than me. It's like 6 feet tall, and I'm 5'1",
Mhm.
in the foyer.
Mhm.
And once I learned of that phrase, I am lovable, I I was so brave. I'm like, I'm gonna go and tell myself to the mirror. And as I'm walking in to the foyer, I see the mirror, and I go like this to the side, and I'm looking at myself in the mirror. I'm like, I can't, I'm not ready, I'm not ready. So I started with just saying it in my head as I slowly moved to the mirror.
Mhm.
And I was crying. So by the time I got to the mirror and I saw myself, the thoughts in my head were racing of, you're an ugly crier. You cry ugly, right? I'm like, no, I am beautiful, and I'm a beautiful crier because this is what healing looks like.
Mhm.
I'm like, yes, this is what healing looks like. So
Mhm.
from there, I was able to say to myself in the mirror, I am lovable. Now, when I work with people and they tell me that they can't have that conversation with them, um, as I coach them through it, the common thing that they all come to is gotta start small, baby steps.
Mhm.
And for pretty much everyone, the small step was starting a conversation like you would with anybody else, just saying hi to that voice. When the voice comes up, they would just say hi. Sometimes it's silent, sometimes there's a response.
Mhm.
And then you can follow the conversation. And some people do it on paper, right? Just saying hi on paper, and they know they're really talking to themselves on paper. And just like, I can feel like my chest, my chest burning now because quite a few people have done that, and I myself have done that as well. Once, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I love having one-on-one clients, is because I get to learn from them. I'm like, oh my god, I never thought of that. So I too have had conversation with myself after having had conversations in my head in front of a mirror, and it's a different experience.
Mhm.
So starting small, whatever that looks like
Yeah.
to those who are listening or watching, depending what platform you find this podcast on. And I would be curious to hear, what is your small step on how you can start the conversation with yourself,
Yeah.
so we can learn from you as well.
No, I love that you said that, crying is a form of, change, and and I think a lot of people that too, especially in the society, we say you can't cry. Hold it in, suck it up. Don't cry, be a big boy, be a big girl,
Mhm.
cry. Crying is also a huge form, and people that I've worked with to do this, the first thing that they do is cry. And
Mhm.
that's okay. It's a big release to be like, I'm sorry I haven't talked to you sooner, right? It's like reconnecting with this old friend that has been there forever, but you have been so disconnected from them. And you live in the same house, but you've never said hi. So it's doing that again, and it's uncomfortable. And just like you said, baby steps. I start with just making eye contact. Making eye contact with yourself in the mirror, ridiculous. Go and see if you actually ever make true eye contact with yourself. And for me, what I try to get people to do is, okay, say some nice things about yourself. We always have that, self-negative talk. I don't want to hear any, oh, I don't like my nose. Oh, I don't like this. No, tell me what you do like. And eventually, when you do this after a long period of time, you're going to go through your whole entire body and just be like, I love this, I love this, I love this, I love that. And you love everything.
Mhm.
But it takes time because we in society have this what perfect looks like, and none of us can ever attain that. We are all very uniquely different, and that's awesome. But own it, own your authentic, beautiful body, this human suit that we have here. Enjoy it, but embrace it. And by embracing it, that means talking to it, right? Because this isn't just about mental health as well, and getting us on that great path, but it's also learning these other tools about your health, right? Like what food is not agreeing with your body, and when you become in tuned with talking to yourself, you then pick up on all those signs that something is going on in your body, and it's because of something else. It can be a cream that you're using and it's affecting something. So when we tap into this source, to this power, into the just talking to ourselves, how crazy is like that we don't talk to ourselves. And like you said, yes, most people think, oh, this person's crazy if they talk to themselves. I'll take it. I am crazy, but guess what? I am a happy crazy person, man. I'm living my best life being this crazy ass person. And I'm okay with it. I'm totally okay with it. I love it. I embrace it. I enjoy it. But I'm so happy because of it. I'm so happy that I faced my fears. I faced that doubt in my head that I can never do this. And I did it anyways because I didn't want to keep self sabotaging myself. And that's what happens when we're telling ourselves that we can never do this or never get to this. Well, you're sabotaging yourself, and stop sabotaging yourself. Start believing that you are capable, that you are lovable, and that you can do all of this. I did love that you started with like, oh, I say this to myself. Mine is like a whole script, man. Like it's a movie. I sit there like you with the candle. I will sit there for hours talking to myself, but not even just talking to myself in the mirror. I dance in front of the mirror. I do all these different things. I tell myself stories in the mirror when I'm really bored, because why not? And
On
it's,
camera.
huh?
I talk to myself more on camera and the look at myself. Like, see, right now, I can look at myself in the eyes and I can have a conversation with myself. I do dance in front of a mirror. Um, that's honestly, that's the way I love to dance. I remember back in Russia, I used to go to dance school,
Mhm.
and there would be really like mirrors from floor to ceiling, and it would be like across the whole entire wall. And I remember just loving seeing myself in the mirror dance. And what I really heard you say is finding a way how to reconnect with ourselves.
Mhm.
Because as children, we were connected. We knew who we were. We were comfortable with ourselves. We did not we did not see any flaws in ourselves. We
Mhm.
didn't. No child does
Yeah.
unless they're being told what their flaws are and pointed out. And
Mhm.
it breaks my heart that pretty much all children go through that.
Yeah.
And that is an unconscious program that the parent is running. So it's at no fault of the parent.
Mhm.
And I wanted to make that very clear to those parents that are listening. It is at no fault of your own if you have said hurtful things to your children and given them a label or limited them in some kind of a way.
If
Because
you are hearing this message now to turn it around.
because all is not lost. You have gone through the experience, so it was normal to you. And
Mhm.
now you're learning that there is another way, that there's another choice, that there's another option. And that is exactly what makes a great parent. Doing something different and trying and keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. and bettering yourself and your family at the same time. So it's important to take this time to reconnect with yourself in the ways that you know how. And when we were having this conversation, and I was just listening to you, Meagan, talk about, having that conversation with your inner self, with your voice. The reason why I feel like it's so uncomfortable for everyone is this. Have you ever had, which is more like, I guess, a rhetorical question, because I know everybody has had this experience, where you want to have a conversation with someone or you want to say something to someone and you wait and you wait and you wait, and the longer you wait, the harder it gets. So it's pretty much the same way when you have these thoughts in your mind and you keep ignoring and ignoring and ignoring because you're afraid to have that conversation. And then one day you're brave enough to have the conversation and you have it. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, that felt great. And then doing it the second time can also feel uncomfortable, and the third time. But the more you do it, the easier it gets. So that's kind of like a conversation with a friend who you lost contact with, who keeps trying to reach out to you and have a conversation with you, but you keep ignoring them and you keep holding back for a variety of reasons. That is up to you to figure out what those reasons are. And the way that it's going to happen is through conversation, right? Through facing that voice and having that one-on-one conversation, however you want to do it, on paper, on audio recorder, on your phone, video recorder. Maybe you want to type it up on here. Maybe you're more techie and digital. Maybe it's the mirror. Maybe you want to go sit in nature and just talk to a tree, or to share that what that voice is saying to a tree. Maybe you can have a conversation between three of you, right? Into the water, talk to a candle. I mean, these are just a few options of many. I'd be curious to find out what everybody else suggested or came up with of what would their first mini step be in having the conversation with that inner self.
Yeah, I agree. I would love to hear that, because everyone is going to do it a little bit differently. Maybe someone will hear what you said and pick up on that and hear what I said and resonate with that. We're all just here to, I really believe we are all teachers to one another. We are all helping each other. And it's not that we're supposed to mimic someone else or do exactly what someone else is doing. We have to have that inner conversation to figure out what is best for us and what we need in our life, instead of constantly, again, externalizing everything and thinking it's outside of us, because it's in here. But you gotta talk to it. You gotta acknowledge it. You have to let it come out and be heard. And I think, that's a really big problem, is our inner child, was always taught to sit down, shut up, not talk. And unfortunately, we do that to ourselves. We tell ourselves that all the time. We tell ourselves to sit down, shut up, don't speak up, don't talk to me. And that's not okay. And that's why a lot of us have, a lot of issues with our inner child, because we're not allowing our inner child to be free and to express itself. Our inner child never goes away. We just suppress it, and we need to honor our inner child. And our inner child is just getting us to go back to remembering how to live our lives, how to relax, how to enjoy, how to talk to ourselves. I know probably most of us talked to ourselves when we were younger. All of us did it, right? So it's going back to those basics, going back to remembering what it was like before society told you who you should be, before society told you how you should be, and everything in your life and dictating all of it. And it's stepping back and saying, no, I'm gonna free my child within. I'm gonna go color. I'm gonna go play in the grass. I'm gonna go take a run, go ride my bike, play on the playground. Anytime I see a playground, guess who's on it? Me. Because it's joyful, it's fun. Why not have fun in your life?
Yeah.
Why deny yourself it? Just don't deny yourself and help yourself.
And don't stop your children from doing that. Like, one of the things that I see and hear quite often is parents preventing science experiments in children, especially outside and inside the house as well. But you don't hear the ones out inside the house, because people don't typically talk about things like that because they don't see it as a problem. And what do I mean by a science experiment? Honestly, the list is so endless that I can only just begin to share what these science experiments are. So a science experiment is jumping in the puddle, jumping in the little river or a creek, or jumping in the mud, or rolling in the mud, or rolling on the grass, or trying to climb a tree, or breaking a branch. These are just a few things outside. Inside the house, taking that egg out of the egg carton and just tossing it up in the air and seeing what happens. I mean, I say it because it happened in my house quite a few times. My son even took an egg to his bedroom, hoping the chicken will come out of it. No chicken came out. But I've done those things myself as well, where I took an egg and I tried to put it under the light and take care of it and everything. No chicken came out. Mixing a whole bunch of foods together, and Uplek is one of his favorite things to do, and it's cornstarch and water. I don't know if you are frozen. Your screen is black, but I will just keep on talking just in case. I'm not frozen. And quite often we stop these types of science experiments because we don't want to clean up the mess. There's some kind of fear attached to it, which comes from our own childhood, because we weren't allowed to do it. We gotten in trouble over trying to break an egg, and it would make a mess. I think she's going to be hopping on right back in a couple of minutes or less. Where is this train of thought going? It's a little bit distracting with Meagan disappearing and then probably coming back in a minute. Yeah, I lost my train of thought now. So we try to stop these science experiments. Meagan is hopping back on, so I'll continue the conversation when she hops on. There she is. Lost you there for a couple of minutes.
Yeah. Internet just stopped working, so I'm on my phone now because, yeah. So you might have to send me this recording. It's recording, or it's downloading the other one, but internet, government, what are you doing?
Testing our patience, or in other words, providing an opportunity to practice our patience.
True, very, very true.
But where I was going with, denying your child an opportunity to do an experiment, and punishing, because quite often a punishment follows that, and how you were punished as a child So when you mentioned that, you were put in a corner and you sit there quietly and still and don't talk to anyone because nobody wants to hear it, that's how I was punished. So then how does that translate into adulthood? I find myself, when I feel like I did something wrong, I find myself sitting quietly in this virtual corner and not expressing the turmoil that is going within me, that is happening within me. And there's another perfect example from a show I watched. I shared this video, I believe it was my Instagram stories, maybe 3 months ago. And it was this comedian who is going through professional help. He's seeking professional help, and he's learned through this person that he's working with that he continues to punish himself. When he would go and do this stand-up comedy and he felt like he failed, he would go back in the car, take a bottle, and hit himself with that bottle until he bleeds, because that is how he was punished as a child. His dad used to beat him and hurt him until he was visibly in pain or would bleed. So he would continue that cycle now as an adult, and he wasn't conscious of it until he came to this realization through professional help. And that's one of the reasons that I always suggest to everyone to seek professional help. There's so many different types of help that you can hire, that you can get to help you work through things, because somebody outside of you sees you for who you are. And they see you as a powerful, strong, credible, empowering, wise person who knows everything, who's been through stuff, and they're able to help you to connect the dots and help you to come to such realizations as that. Because that is not something that very few, I actually don't know anyone who has not gone through either training or getting professional help, who's been able to also, when I say like training, I also mean like educating yourself online. That's a lot of training, right? Um, who's been able to connect the dots themselves for the things that are happening on the inside. And an outsider, and I have coaches that I work with that have helped me to connect the dots where I couldn't.
Yeah. No, and that's hard because just like our inner child, we weren't able to ask for help when we were younger. We weren't able to ask our parents, how do I get through this emotion? How do I do this? It was just constantly don't do that. Don't do this. Don't. And no explanation behind it. No, nothing. You're just supposed to comply with what is. And so now we all have this hard time not only asking for help, but accepting help. And we all need it. We all truly, truly need it. And that's okay. That's what we are here for. We're here to find community and hold one another accountable for being the best versions of ourselves. And you can only do that by having other people and asking for help and sharing and talking about whatever it is that is going on inside of you, so that again you can release it in many different ways. And just like going back to our first topic here, is learning about yourself. Maybe go find out your human design, go find out all this different stuff about you, so then you're not stuck. You realize maybe why something isn't working out the way you need to, or how to ask for help, right? What your kind of type needs, or who
you gravitate towards, and all of this different stuff. We have to become the parents we needed when we were younger, and embody who would I want to be talking to me right now? How would I want this person to talk to me if I was 5 and was just having fun and didn't realize that this was something bad? How would you explain this? How would you want someone to explain it to you? And I think always going back to that is help yourself. Just like you said, get some help. It's okay. It is okay to need help. We all need help. We all need help. We can't do it all by ourselves.
Yeah. And it does not make you weak. I will say that again. Asking for help does not make you weak. And I had to learn that the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
I learned it the hard way, where, I mean, after my son was born, only having 6 hours of sleep and about 2 weeks did a number on me, and I still did not ask for help. And if I did early on, I probably would have avoided going through severe and massive depression, where I was medicated and was no longer myself. And one thing I will add to what you were saying, Meagan, is when we are children, I get a sense that it would be quite a few children that have gone through this. Now, as adults, might be becoming aware of it. Our curiosity was quite often suppressed or ignored. So, how does curiosity show up? Curiosity shows up through questions that children ask that come from a place of wanting to know more. Many ways of how they ask you, tell me more, such as why, how, where, why not, right? There are so many different ways of how a child will express their curiosity, and quite often parents might see those questions as why, as how do I put it? Is when you are not listening to me and you are being rude by asking questions, but they're not. Like, they are so new to this planet, to this world, that they have no idea about anything. So they are very curious and they just want to know why. And if it's suppressed and ignored year after year after year after year, which is another form of how a child asks for help. Help me, I want to know more. And if you don't help your child, like you weren't helped when you were little, then it might be hard for you to go out there and ask other people for help. Come help me. I'm lost. I'm hurting. I'm confused. I don't know what's happening. I need help.
Hi, Unicorn Girl.
Hi, Unicorn Girl.
Hi.
This one is coming here for help. What's up?
I'm not for help, actually. Vivian texted me on Discord asking if I can hang out with her in 10 minutes at the park with the playgrounders.
Are you done your school?
Yes, I finished about 10 minutes ago and I'm doing my homework.
Okay, sure. Go have a snack and you can go.
In 10 minutes.
Okay. Gives you 10 minutes to have a snack.
Really?
Yeah. But you have to be home at 4 o'clock because we have to go to a dentist appointment. So actually, I might have to retreat that. Yeah, we gotta leave in like half an hour. And I do not want to be late again.
For? How long will the dentist for?
Probably 5:30.
5:30?
We'll be back, yeah.
Can I hang out 5:30? Because it gets dark at about 8 o'clock.
How about we have that conversation after? Let me finish.
I need to tell her.
Okay, we are recording this, so everybody will be listening.
Oh, don't worry, I'm cutting this out.
I'm leaving this in here because this is life. This is real life.
Don't.
Okay,
My hair looks disgusting.
your hair looks fine. Do not judge yourself.
It's
hair
so
looks
thick
beautiful.
and short.
Look at mine. Mine
And you're
is,
just so long and thin. It's so pretty.
yeah. Okay,
Both are pretty.
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Okay, and then we can have a conversation.
Or you
Okay.
didn't go 5 minutes earlier.
Anyways, I keep these things in there.
Don't.
Yeah, I just posted raw, so as to not hide the Kasperczak household.
It's not that like even I want to hide it, but I guess again, when you're like putting out content and you're having a topic, it gets very distracting for other people to have those distractions. And then it's like, okay, wait, where were we? What were we talking about again? So I never want to distract my viewers from the message that's being conveyed. And that's just going to create chaos. Because again, what if that was a trigger for someone, their kids coming and bugging them? You know, you never know what can turn someone off.
That becomes an opportunity for them to learn or to grow through. Or in my experience,
I get that, but I guess for me, it could just turn them off to.
what I was going to say is, in my experience, there have been people that I said yes to working with when I knew I should have said no. And it was quickly evident as to why. Because they might not have been mothers, or they weren't mothers. And this happened when the lockdowns started happening, when everybody was forced to stay home. So anyways, I don't want to go into details, but it allowed me to see the kind of people that I want to work with and the kind of people that I don't want to work with. And at the same time, I see it as an opportunity for people to see how one communicates with the younger ones that come and interrupt when they shouldn't.
Yeah, no, and I get that. And I guess me and you are in very two completely different, you know, what do you call, audiences? We'll go with that. So, and that's totally fine. You know, what works for one person doesn't work for the other one. I just feel like for me, I don't want to have that in there, you know, especially being on a podcast. You don't want to like, and you're not seeing it, so you're not understanding that like, oh, we're just having like, even right now we're having just a conversation. It's not a very like how do you say, like professional setting where it's like, oh, we're having a meeting right now.
Well, it's professional, and yet I don't particularly refer to myself as a professional. It just seems so restricting to me. I don't like that word because I have certain attachments to that word that were given to me by other people who were quote unquote professionals, and there was not very much professional about them.
No, fair enough. I can get that. I'm getting over some words that are my trigger words at the moment. So I'm enjoying though transforming them into something else and not giving them the words that, or the meaning that someone else has given them, and being able to do it myself.
Yeah, like rewriting the definition of words.
Yes, make them what you want, you know.
Yeah, but for some of them it does take a little bit of time.
Oh yes, of course.
Right.
Yes, we are all constantly rewriting it and experiencing new things, and things will just keep coming up. And that's, you know, what this life is about, is uncovering and going back to remembering and kind of helping ourselves. Just help yourself through this. And sometimes helping yourself again is
asking for help. All right. Hi. How are you?
Yeah, now he wanted a code, the running back and forth because it's upstairs, so I have to lean forward. Anyways, we were talking about the self-punishment that we continue as we grow up from childhood.
Yeah. I will say I feel like we should end it there because I know you got to go and I don't want to. We can keep talking about this forever. But this was great. For anyone listening, this is a great place for you to start. You're getting 2 life coaches' perspectives on life and even how we've helped ourselves and gone through this process. And we do baby steps, and even this, talking to other life coaches to, get perspectives on how each one of us would examine something or say something to someone else. And yeah, it's fun. And I've loved every one of our conversations because I appreciate you and I'm grateful for you.
I appreciate you as well, and I am grateful for you as well. And I feel like this to me is a perfect example of how Ethan, patience, of how I have practiced my patience, where
Mom, just stop.
I really just like want to bark and put everyone in their place, but that is not the way to raise healthy children upstairs. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So it's important to be the example, the living, breathing example to all children, and show them that it's important to be patient, and it's important to wait a moment. This can wait. This device, this controller can wait for me to put the code in so he can play, right?
But Mom,
Patience, Ethan.
the longer it is away from the TV, the less, and the
Okay,
worse connection.
then can you go and hold it by the TV? I'm going to be upstairs in 2 minutes.
Jack, we should tell you something really quick.
No, children, patience.
Yeah, it's
Yes, mommy is going to be ignoring you because she's asked you several times that she's busy and having a conversation right now. So she's going to ignore you and not talk to you.
And then, Ethan, you and I are going to have a conversation.
No.
Yes, we are, because you are not respecting me right now.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying.
But you can't say sorry. You need to show mom that you're sorry, which is by not being in there right now and talking to her, right? Because she's asked you to be patient.
And I ask you both to please step out, give me 2 minutes.
He's
And
only one more.
2 minutes, and I will be with you. Please.
So I can't warm up.
Now, please.
Come on now. Come on.
No, you too, Mila. Go, please.
Cut that part out.
No. Let's leave that part out. Because this is what setting boundaries or reminding of the boundaries crossed looks and sounds like. And I really want to cut this out, but I'm not going to, because this will be a great lesson for so many parents of how difficult it might be to keep your cool because you're on camera. I live my life as if my whole entire life being recorded.
Yeah.
And it is challenging where I just want to snap, but it is not going to benefit anyone, and it does damage the relationship.
Of course, yeah.
Them and with myself, because I'm breaking my own integrity if I go with anger. I go to that level that I do not want to go to, because it not only drains me, it drains them and everyone else around me, right? And my cat clearly is like, okay, she needs some energy, so he comes on my lap. So anyways, this is a perfect time to wrap up as an example of, being the living, breathing example of what I want my kids to be like as a parent. And
Mhm.
it comes from uncovering who I am and working on myself and understanding myself and knowing how I want to show up and how I don't want to show up and why, and asking
Mhm.
curiosity type of questions of myself. So, or
All right. So, I feel like for my podcast, this will be cut back quite a bit, but that's okay.
yes, and if they want to hear
Yes, if you want to hear all of it.
the time version, they can go and listen to your podcast. That does not have all of these nuisances around. This one is biting the paper. Like my patience is being tested today.
Right. Well, I'm glad we started early because then we would not have had all this time. So you go and get ready to take Mila so that you are not going to be late.
Yes. So I got a lot of lessons on patience today, and hopefully everyone else got to learn. I'm not going to look back and see how I looked, but you can probably see in my face the frustration, the wanting to crack a whip,
Yeah.
so to speak, right? But anyways, thank you. Thank you for being patient and
Of course.
trying to speak some sense into one of them. Now, here, I need some sense.
I heard Mila heard, she like told him, she's like, Ethan. It's like, yeah. I feel like just that it's maybe Mila's at that age too, where she needs to start like teaching her what to say to him to also hear it from a different person as well.
Yeah.
To like back you up and be like, no, Ethan, mom said that she will be done in a moment. We need to be patient and wait.
She does do that,
Yeah.
but he
He
doesn't
doesn't.
see it in that same way because
Yeah.
who are you to tell me what to do? You're just 3.5 years older than me, right? But
it's saying, okay, well, in my 3 years, I've learned how to listen to mom and how to respect her. And I'm trying to teach you how to also respect her so that you don't have to go through all those trial and errors. And I'm just helping you.
yeah, and one of the good things that I've heard recently was a different way of talking about what an expert is. A fourth grader is an expert to a second grader.
Yeah.
So
okay, no, we're not getting into this. Go. Love you. Goodbye.
Thank you for sharing yourself and your wisdom. And until we meet again.
Yes, of course. All right. Bye.
Okay, bye. Thanks.
Okay.